I did a video a few years ago about the best-selling semi-automatic shotgun in history, the Remington 1100. That video kind of bothered me because I always felt that it overshadowed a better semi-automatic shotgun that was also available at the time. In 1898, the greatest firearm inventor of all time, John Moses Browning, invented the first mass produced semi auto shotgun, which would become the second best selling semi auto shotgun in history, and it ended up being manufactured for almost 100 years. The AUTO-5 changed shotgun history forever. It was the first time a person could reliably fire 5 shot shells as fast as their finger could move. Browning's ingenious recoil operated system would be reproduced and copied under license many times over the next 100 years. So sit back and relax while I take you on a walk down memory lane and discuss one of my favorite semi-automatic shotguns ever made, the Browning AUTO-5. John Moses Browning designed and invented so many impactful firearms in his lifetime, but arguably his greatest invention of all was his highly successful semi-automatic shotgun. John Browning himself referred to the AUTO-5 as his greatest achievement. The AUTO-5 design was complete in 1898, and the patent work was complete by the year 1900. The name AUTO-5 reflects the fact that it's an auto-loading shotgun that holds 5 rounds. John Browning pitched his invention to Winchester, which responded by making the worst mistake in Winchester's company history, not only by refusing to make a deal with John Browning, but by completely parting ways with him. Browning then pitched the shotgun idea to FN in Belgium, and they quickly accepted Browning's terms to mass produce the AUTO-5. This turned out to be one of the greatest collaborations in sporting firearm history. Many variations of the AUTO-5 would be produced over a 100-year span. Due to tariffs on Belgium guns, Browning licensed Remington to make a version of the AUTO-5 in the United States, known as the Model 11. And it was made from 1905 to 1947, and it was the first semi-automatic shotgun produced in the United States. Browning also licensed Savage to make versions of the AUTO-5 that they called the Model 720 and 745. Those were made from 1930 to 1949. Winchester did an outright patent violation with their Model 1911 SL shotgun, which was an absolutely horrible design and would become known as the Widowmaker shotgun. In the 1940s, companies started openly copying Browning's long recoil design. This led to shotguns like the Remington 1148, the Savage 755 and 775, and the Franke AL-48. During World War II, FN moved AUTO-5 production to the US temporarily. These guns were produced at the Remington factory, and they had serial numbers on the side of the receiver rather than the bottom of the receiver. But after World War II, production moved back to Belgium. After 1975, most AUTO-5s were manufactured at the Muroku plant in Japan. The Muroku AUTO-5s are prized for their extreme durability. In 1999, at basically the 100-year anniversary of the AUTO-5, FN ended production and produced the last AUTO-5s. They did this because the sleek, fancy Italian semi-autos that came to the market were just completely taking over everything. And FN decided that the days of the AUTO-5 were pretty much over. Unfortunately, Browning's gas gun replacements for the AUTO-5 never sold extremely well. And Every other semi-auto that Browning made after they discontinued the AUTO-5 kind of lingered in its shadow. In 2012, Browning tried to resurrect the spirit of the AUTO-5 by introducing the new A5. The new A5 was just a copy of the Benelli M2 with a fake hump on the rear to make it look like a real AUTO-5. After 2012, the old guns made in Belgium and Japan were known as AUTO-5s, and the new guns were simply referred to as A5s. When the new Portugal made A5 came out, it was plagued with feeding and quality issues. Although Browning eventually ironed out a lot of these issues during the first couple years of production, the bad reputation was hard to overcome, and the new A5 just wasn't looked at as being as reliable as the old AUTO-5. The working design of the AUTO-5 is a form of pure genius that only a man like John Browning could ever have concocted. Browning's long recoil design has the barrel and the bolt moving rearward together under recoil, and this cocks the hammer as they travel. Empty shells are ejected as the bolt moves to the rear, and fresh shells are fed from a tubular magazine under the barrel as the bolt closes under spring tension. Every shotgun made after the AUTO-5 uses basic design elements of John Browning's original design. But it wasn't only the design that made this shotgun great. It was also the high quality materials and manufacturing that went into these shotguns. The Belgium and Japanese AUTO-5s are known for being some of the highest quality mass-produced sporting firearms ever made. The fact that people are still hunting with their 100-year-old AUTO-5s is proof of that. The AUTO-5 is well known for being one of the most reliable semi-auto shotguns ever made. But that doesn't mean that it's totally maintenance-free. These guns need a basic cleaning schedule, and they have wear parts in them that need periodic replacement. When I buy an old AUTO-5, and I buy a lot of them at gun shows and stuff, and I decide I want to go out and hunt with it, I go through the gun and I give it a really deep cleaning and replace some basic wear parts. Amazingly, you could still get every part for these guns. They're still available. But here's where you're going to see the biggest downfall of the AUTO-5 compared to modern semi-auto shotguns. The AUTO-5 does not break down quickly or easily for maintenance like your Benelli or Beretta does. It requires specialized screwdrivers in several sizes and, punches for disassembly. I've bought and sold many AUTO-5s over my lifetime, mainly because I can buy a gun that was kind of having issues for cheap, easily fix it with readily available parts, and sell it for 2 or 3 times the price. But this little 1965 vintage Belgium 20 gauge is really growing on me, and I think I'm actually going to keep this one for good. I plan on using this gun to hunt. So after I clean this thing up really good, I'm going to replace all the springs, the friction ring assembly parts, and give everything else a good inspection. And after that, this gun should be ready for another 20 years of use at least. And this thing is just in great condition for a 1965. Just amazing. I would say 9 out of 10 old A5s I pick up, the screw holes are boogered because the owners tried to use a regular screwdriver for maintenance on these. You can see, look at those. They're not buggered up at all. They look fantastic. Yeah, at least 90%, maybe more, of old AUTO-5s that I pick up these screw holes are buggered because they didn't use the proper flat hollow ground screwdriver on it, gunsmithing screwdriver. But this thing is in fantastic shape, so let's start breaking it down. I highly recommend the Sure Cycle kit for your AUTO-5 to replace the action spring and followers. And I also highly recommend a completely new friction kit and recoil spring kit from either Midwest Gunworks or Arts Gun Shop. So that came apart pretty damn easy. The problem with a lot of these old AUTO-5s is that the screws in the action, and especially the screw to remove the rear portion of the stock, those are often a bear to get out, especially on the Japanese guns. On the Japanese guns, sometimes you have to go through pretty drastic measures to loosen the screws on those. But this old Belgian came apart pretty damn easy. I was lucky on that. And once I removed this bolt, I noticed something. The left side extractor is broken. See that? The end's broken off of it. And this is actually a fairly common occurrence on these, especially the pre-1958 AUTO-5s. But, you know, this is proof that it could happen on the later models with the upgraded bolt. So I'm going to have to order a left-hand extractor for this. The odd thing about it is that this gun was extracting and ejecting fine with just the right side extractor. The left side extractor on these really doesn't do a whole lot. It basically just pushes the shell up against the right side extractor. But yeah, I need to replace that part. And this gun did not have a plug in the magazine tube to limit it to 3 shots, so I'm going to add a plug to that. In this is all the old springs compared to the new springs, and as you could tell, this thing really needed an overhaul in the spring department. You can see this is the recoil spring right here, and you can see the old ones permanently compressed about an inch too short. This is the magazine tube spring right here. You can see the one that was in there is compressed about 2 inches too short. And this is the action spring right here. And that's probably 1.5 inches short compressed. So this thing really needed a spring upgrade. And I just really loved this gunsmithing assembly mat right here. One of the things that's cool about it is it has this magnetized section right here, and I can actually keep track of all the screws I take out of and put them in a particular order, because these screws are specific to the screw holes, so it's easy to mix things up and put screws in and have to take them back out and try another one in order to get it to work. So keeping your screws organized as you take them out of the receiver makes things a lot easier. Remember this bottom stock retaining screw right here? It's got a special contoured orientation. It's kind of concave in shape, so it fits the lines of this tang. And you'll notice that there's 2 indentations in it on either side of the slot right there. And you have to pick the one where it sits in the contour correctly. So in the process of completely disassembling my AUTO-5, I found that every spring in the gun was collapsed and needed to be replaced. But in addition to that, I found a broken left side extractor. On the right side extractor, I took that out and there was actually a burr in it, and I filed that burr down. And in addition to that, the action spring plug was broken. So that gun definitely needed to be taken down and serviced. It probably hadn't been done maybe since the shotgun was new in 1965, because the screws looked like they hadn't been touched. They still had perfect bluing on them. But I'm glad I did this, and this sweet little 20 gauge should be ready for another 20, 30 years. The friction ring assembly parts need to be in a specific order and orientation for your AUTO-5 to function properly. With most AUTO-5s I've encountered in my life that were having issues, the owner actually assembled these friction rings incorrectly for the ammunition that they were using, and that was the cause for the problems. And you can actually use these rings in different orientations. Let's see if I can zoom in on that there. You can actually use these rings in different orientations to tune the gun for a particular load. And as you can see in here, in the original forearm, they have instructions on how to tune your friction rings for light and heavy loads. And this is an exact replica of that sticker that Browning put inside the forend. And, you can use these rings in different orientations to tune the gun for any particular load. And there's a lot of information on tuning in AUTO-5 online and on YouTube, so I won't bore you with the details of that. Just do your research on friction ring assembly installation before putting it all together. Contrary to popular belief, you can over-lubricate an AUTO-5, especially in the friction assembly area right here on the magazine tube. As the name clearly states, this assembly requires friction to move on here. So too much lubrication, or even the wrong kind of lubrication, can either cause malfunctions or even increased recoil. Most old-timers out there use regular 30-weight motor oil to lubricate the friction assembly. They say it gives it the perfect balance of friction and movement compared to other gun oils. And I use it because I trust some of the guys who recommend 30 weight motor oil for the friction assembly. Just make sure it's plain motor oil with no detergents added. And really just a couple of dabs spread on the tube evenly is enough. And really this is the only place I use this 30 weight motor oil. For the lubrication on the rest of the gun, I use a modern synthetic gun oil on the other parts. And I'd call that a pretty damn good pattern right there. And this gun seems to be shooting about 60-40 with this factory fixed modified choke. I'm happy. With the vast majority of AUTO-5s made by Browning, the serial numbers are going to be on the bottom of the receiver in front of the loading port. There's no official dates for pre-World War II shotguns, but there are unofficial date charts out there. Basically, if your serial number is number 1 to 228,000, it's a pre-war shotgun. During the war, production of the AUTO-5 was moved to the Remington factory in the United States. If your serial number is 229,000 to 237,000, your gun was made between 1940 and 1946 in the USA. From 1947 onward, FN kept meticulous records of year of manufacture for the AUTO-5. So you can officially date everything past 1946. In 1954, FN started adding letters to the serial number to denote standard weight guns from lightweight guns and magnums. From 1968 to 1976, FN put 2 digits at the beginning of the serial number. And for 1976 to 1997, FN used letters to mark the year of manufacture. For 1999, they added FT to the serial number to signify that they were final tribute guns made in the final production year. People have tried to piece together unofficial dates for pre-war AUTO-5s, but Browning will not officially verify the validity of those claims. But be mindful that these serial number dates can also be specific to calibers. There were also some changes made to the AUTO-5 over the years. Pre-war shotguns had suicide-style safeties until 1909, when the safety was relocated to the front of the trigger guard. In 1951, all AUTO-5s were manufactured with a standard crossbolt safety, and that continued to the end of production. In 1953, the speed load feature was added to some guns, and by 1958, the speed load feature was standard on all AUTO-5s. In 1958, FN added a thicker locking block rail and an upgraded bolt to further improve reliability. When production of the AUTO-5 moved to Japan in 1976, better corrosion resistance was added, and improved barrel metallurgy allowed the use of steel shot. In 1983, the Invector choke system was added to the AUTO-5, and all of those shotguns were perfectly safe to use with steel shot. I'll admit it, sexy, modern Italian shotguns are awesome. They're fast, very light, precise, and extremely easy to take down and maintain. The problem is that they constantly go in and out of style, and they're frequently replaced with new product releases. These small manufacturing windows make them kind of disposable shotguns, after about 25 years. You just can't get any parts for them anymore. But the AUTO-5 was manufactured for basically 100 years. So every part is available somewhere, and there's just volumes of information out there on how to solve every issue you can ever have with an AUTO-5. Also, there's no shotgun ever manufactured, in my opinion, that shoots, shoulders, and feels like a real AUTO-5 does. You could blindfold me and have me shoot 10 different semi-automatic shotguns, and I could tell you exactly which one was an AUTO-5. The sense of nostalgia is also just undeniable with these guns. Showing up for a hunt with an old Sweet 16 will instantly make you stand out from the rest of the hunters. An AUTO-5 says, I can buy any shotgun in the world I want, but I choose this over those. I mean, look at this gun compared to a modern semi-auto shotgun. The AUTO-5 has a smoothness to it that has been refined over a 100-year period. There's nothing on this gun that's going to abrade your skin or cut you or pinch you. You don't get Benelli thumb when you load the AUTO-5. You don't get Benelli click when you mishandle it in a duck blind. It also doesn't have gas ports or pistons that get clogged up with junk and have to be cleaned constantly. The AUTO-5 was made to be worked hard for a long period of time, and it just doesn't mind running dirty. All you had to do is just periodically clean this gun and replace wear parts like springs, extractors, and friction washers, every few decades. It was the last semi-automatic shotgun made out of forged steel and walnut. Something foreign to those born after the 1980s, and something that us older guys kind of yearn for again. To me, the AUTO-5 is still a relevant shotgun. The AUTO-5 is more than just some old collector's item. It's a shotgun that set a standard for long-term reliability that really wasn't exceeded by the competition for the last 125 years. It was used in both world wars. It was used by famous outlaws like Bonnie and Clyde. It was used in the Rhodesian Bush Wars. And the AUTO-5 was even used by James Bond. There's no plastic trigger guard or aluminum receiver in the AUTO-5. It's machined steel made with forgings. When you hold an AUTO-5 in your hands, what you're carrying is just basically all forged steel and walnut. No corners were cut in the manufacture of this gun. And when a weakness was found in the platform over the years, Browning always quickly fixed it. This gun does have some downsides, though, like weight and complicated disassembly. But that's about it. It was quality that your common man could afford, but it has a beautiful elegance to it that a distinguished gentleman could also appreciate. The AUTO-5 is the right shotgun for any outdoorsman. Well, thank you for watching, and as always, good hunting.